let's now draw the agent as a black box. So the agent interacts with an environment. Okay, so that's what's happening here. And the agent is going to carry out actions in the environment. So that's what we're going to mean here. So agents carry out actions in the environment, and the environment is going to output stimuli to the agent. So the stimuli to the agent is just everything that the agent gets from the environment, whatever it is, from sound to pictures to everything else. Okay, so depending on what the agent observes, it doesn't only depend what it should do, it doesn't only depend on that, it also depends on what we'll call prior knowledge, which is what the agent knows before it has to act. Okay, so this is similar to the argument in psychology between nature versus nurture. Prior knowledge corresponds to nature, and the stimuli corresponds to nurture. It's all about the interactions with the environment. But the actions of the agent doesn't only depend on what its prior knowledge is and what it observes about the world, but also depends on what the agent's goals or preferences are. Goals and preferences. So what the agent wants to do and what it prefers or doesn't prefer. Okay, so now, so that doesn't only depend on that, but the other part of it is what the agent's abilities are. Okay, so what the abilities of the agent are. So now we have the input to the agent and the agent's abilities, the set of things that it can do, what it wants to do, its prior knowledge, and its stimuli. Sometimes we're also going to talk to have all the past experiences is also going to be in there. So all the past experiences is a history of stimuli. And what the agent should do depends on its history, not only what it. So we're going to now treat the past experiences as all the previous stimuli. So what happens is the agent is going to depend on its full history of experiences as well as what it's actually observing now, its prior knowledge, its goals, preferences, and abilities. So now let's look at a few examples of this agent. So let's look at an autonomous car. You might think this is a something that's complicated, and it is. But what's not complicated is about the abilities. The only things that an agent can do, the only thing an autonomous car can do, it can steer left and right, you can accelerate, and it can brake. The only controls basically you have over a car is you can put your foot on the accelerator or not, you can put your foot on the brake, and of course acceleration is the opposite of braking, and you can steer left and right. They're the only abilities, they're the only things that you can do in the agent. So in that sense, the car is very simple. The goals of an autonomous car, maybe probably number one goal is safety. Then get to the destination, wherever it's going, and maybe some timeliness. So these are the goals of an autonomous car. Might be keep the passengers safe, keep everyone safe, get to the destination, and make sure that you do things in as timely as manner and as efficient manner as possible. Okay. The prior knowledge an autonomous car might have, the prior knowledge in here might be, well, I would expect these days what happens is cars have street maps, and they're provided to it as prior knowledge. They don't have to learn the street maps. You might provide what signs mean, might be told. What do stop signs mean? What other signs mean? What a speed limit sign means. One of the things that's interesting is what to stop for. You might think that's obvious, but it's not. You stop for children on the road. You probably do not stop for ants. The car probably doesn't stop for birds unless they're very big birds. It may not stop for squirrels, but it probably stops for mooses and other cars. but that's often programmed in as prior knowledge. The stimuli that's going in here, the stimuli that's going to this agent are there's vision, there's laser, GPS, laser, GPS, voice commands, and other things like that. So there's lots of sort of different forms of stimuli, and the past experiences one might do. The past experiences include, how braking and steering affect direction and speed. So it's typically learned what braking does and how steering works. So how braking and steering affect the direction and speed because they interact. But something that we and speed. Okay, so that's one of the things, past experiences we can have for an autonomous car. So we're going to break down these agents into this case here. Um, Another example is a teacher. When someone is trying to teach you something, what the abilities are. The abilities are, well, what can they do? What are the actions available to the teacher? Well, they can present new concepts. What else can teachers do? They can drill. They get you to practice. They can give tests. They can explain concepts and all sorts of things like that. The goals of a teacher, well, they may be particular knowledge of the students, particular knowledge, what you have to know. That's usually less important than skills one might teach, because we expect everyone to forget what they've learned, but they're going to keep some things, hopefully. The other goals that teachers have are things like inquisitiveness, to make sure people stay inquisitive, and also for social skills might be something that people are going to, a teacher might have a goal, social skills of the students. Okay. You think about what the prior knowledge of a teacher is. The prior knowledge, what what they get taught in school, for example, the subject matter, and the teaching strategies. Okay, so that's the prior knowledge that goes in there. So it's what strategies there are, what the subject matter is, might be prior knowledge to a teacher. And the stimuli, what the teacher observes, test results. And in normal classrooms, you might do facial expressions. One of the problems with online teaching is we don't get to observe facial expressions. We get to observe errors that students make, their focus, etc. So these are the sort of things, the stimuli. And then there's past experiences. So not everything we learn from school. We have to have past experiences. Okay, past experiences include prior test results, effects of teaching strategies, how bad your video was the first 4 times we tried to make this video, and things like that. Okay, so these are a few examples of some agents, an autonomous car and a teacher. You could do a similar thing for a thermostat or a medical doctor or a travel agent and all sorts of other ones. Okay, so thank you.